Hello, students. I hope everybody is doing fine. Today, of Science 2, chapter Heredity and Evolution, the second part, that is evolution, we will study. First part, already heredity and protein synthesis, you have studied, and I hope everybody has got through with it. Now, in this evolution, the meaning of evolution is the gradual change over long duration, gradual change in character in any body part that happens in a living organism, that is evolution. But remember student, this is very slow process. Okay, so if evolution definition have to be given, it could be like a formation of new species. So it's a formation of new species due to changes in specific characters. Okay, changes in specific characters of several generation of living organism, of that particular living organism, is a response to natural selection. That means that change what is happening has to be well adapted in the surrounding. Okay, so whatever character change or whatever body parts or anything related to anatomy, if changes are being done, that happens with long time. Now on the earth there were no life till, if you go back 3.5 billions ago. Okay, so there wasn't any life. So how life started? So it is a deep concept, but in like a small thing I would like to make you understand that initially some very simple element started to come on earth. With that, some organic and new and inorganic substances are made. With all these things, some complex proteins as well as nucleic acids were made. With this, the first primitive, that means the ancient cells, were started to form. Now, according to the natural selections, some have been selected by the natural selection and some were perished. That means some organism started to live on the earth because they adapted well and with the condition, whatever was the situation that time, so it was well adapted to the surroundings, so it started to live and give and multiply to the two of its own kind. That means it can multiply, it can increase its numbers to its own kind because it was well suited for that surrounding to start to live. But some living organism perished. Why? Because they couldn't be adapted, they couldn't fit on those surroundings which was there, so it was all killed. It was all or not able to survive, not able to adapt, so they were removed and were not selected. At present we can see huge variety of plants and animals around us. If you see in animals and plants, starting from unicellular organism, we have multicellular organism. In plants, if you see from unicellular cholera, which is very small that we can't see from our eyes, to a multicellular like a banyan tree. Similarly, in animal, if you see unicellular like amoeba and paramecium, to the giant whale and human beings and animals, all these things are very well suited and they are part of our life and part of the earth. Now in science, everything goes around the proof. What is the proof of this? What is the proof of that? How life existed? Everything related in science is because of the proof that we have, either some studies and research done by scientists, or there must be some material that on which we can say that yes, it was present or it was not present, yes, it is true or not true. For this evolution also, whatever I have talked about, there are some proofs which tells that yes, it happens in a simple way, starting in a simple way, and then it became complex. So there are some evidences that you have to study in this chapter, that is morphological evidences, then anatomical evidences, vestigial evidences, paleontological evidences, and embryonic evidences. Also connecting links, that one by one we will discuss. Now let's first talk about morphological evidences. Now if you see around animals, ears, eyes, nose, hand, legs, these are all very similar to animals, human beings and animals. The placement of the ear, the placement of the eyes and nose, presence of teeth for chewing and biting of food, then hands and legs. For animals, they have 4 legs, so because hand is not required. In birds, if you see the hands, the forelimbs are modified into wings. So this all tells you that it is very much possible that all our ancestors were same, because of this the eyes were exactly on the same position for each and every organism. The ears are on a particular position, the nose is on particular position, the body hair, the skin, everything is like relatable, you can relate to it. So that tells that our ancestors were similar. Now next one is anatomical evidences. Now if you see the bones that we have, also in page number 4, you have been given different types of bone which is present in human hand, cat's foreleg, patagium of bat, that is the wing that the bat has, the flipper of the whale. If you see the basic structure which makes all this thing is nothing but bones. So in all these 4 diagrams, bone is the most common thing. Also there are the joints that joins the different kinds of bones all together to make it in such a way that it could be useful to that particular organism. So if you see, anatomical is nothing but the similarity that we see around the living organism. Okay, so the presence of bones, the joint, the formation of the formation and the placement of bones, it is very similar. That tells that we all exist from a similar kind of ancestor. Now the third one is vestigial organ. What are vestigial organs, student? The degenerated or underdeveloped useless organs of the organisms are called vestigial organs. The degenerated or underdeveloped. Now if any development of new tissue or organ has to happen, so maybe the environment is present at that time may not have suited well for the formation or for the its existence. Okay, so what will happen? The existing organ will undergo gradual change, and in that situation it may become useless or even harmful. So such structure begins to degenerate. Okay, under that situation, as per the principle of natural selection, they become of no use, and the size of that organ, of that particular organ or tissue, will go on decreasing in size. So you must have heard about appendix, which is present below the large intestine in all human beings. It is also present in animals like cattle, cows and buffaloes, but in them it is very much useful because their food is different from ours. Okay, in their food the cellulose is present, which helps in the digestion, but through the appendix it has some enzymes that give rise to helps in their digestion. Also your wisdom tooth. Okay, so we all have some pain when wisdom tooth arises, or we have difficulties in chewing, or they just grow like anywhere very inappropriately. So it becomes difficulty for a lot of the people if you have heard this wisdom tooth when it is formed. So it is also a vestigial organ because it is placed in such a place that it is of no use in biting or chewing. Okay, so mostly it is all taken out by the dentist. With the help of dentist, we mostly take it out because it is of no use. Your ear muscles. Ear muscles are useful for animals like monkeys, so that they can hear the sound, but for us it is of no use. It is just like that, present inside on our head, near our head actually. Similarly, we have tailbone coccyx, which is of no use during the embryonic development. When the fetus is growing in the womb of mother, there is one extra bone which is present, the spinal cord, if you see in the diagram. So that also is of no use, and it becomes very small as the growth proceed. So you have ear pinna, which is of no use. You have body hairs also, chest hairs and body hairs is of no use. Wisdom tooth. Then this appendix, I told you, that is of no use for us. So these are the vestigial organ. Now how it proves that this is the proof that how what I was telling you about the evolution, because it is all happening. It was first present in our previous generation, but gradually it is going smaller and smaller. So it can be related that first it was useful and now it is not being useful, and that is why the size is becoming smaller. Okay, so that is the reason, that is the proof that we can say from the vestigial organ. Now come to the fourth one, that is paleontological evidence, which is based on the fossil that we have got. Now fossil is what? For animals it would be the bone. Now as the fossils were discovered, so it was found that the layers what was present of invertebrates which has no backbone. Then it was vertebrates, then it was amphibians, then it was reptiles, and then mammals like birds, human beings, animals. Now we all know that, students, when we are living we consume carbon, and the carbon consumption of animals and plants stops after death, and since then only there is a decaying of carbon 14. Now you all know that there are two isotopes of carbon 14 and carbon 12. So based on the ratio of carbon 14, or carbon 14 is a radioactive element, so based on the radioactivity of carbon 14 and the ratio between carbon 14 and carbon 12, the age of the fossil can be calculated, which can be measured by the radioactivity of the carbon 14. This is known as carbon dating. So hence carbon dating is very much useful in knowing the age of the fossil, and through that it is also one of the proof that we can consider for the evolution. Now the next one is connecting link. In these kind of evidence, it was found that some plants and animals show some morphological characters that belongs to two different group. Okay, now I'll explain you with some example. If you take one living organism, that is Peripatus. Okay, it has a segmented body, thin cuticle, and parapodia like organ. What is parapodia? It is a small structure for movement. Okay, it doesn't have legs, so it is just a small structure for movement which are present in the Peripatus. Okay, and there is also another character from different group, that is tracheal respiration and open circulatory system. That means they respire through trachea and they have the blood flowing into open circulatory system. They don't have arteries and vein, which is similar to the arthropoda. So the presence of segmental body, thin cuticle, and parapodia is related to the Annelida group, and the tracheal respiration and open circulatory system is related to the Arthropoda. Students, more of these Annelida and Arthropoda you will study when I will teach you animal classification. For just now, this time you remember कि Peripatus is resembling the two groups, that is Annelida because they have thin cuticle and all those things, and Arthropoda because they have tracheal respiration and open circulatory system. Now another example is Peripatus or duck-billed Peripatus. They lay eggs
students.
like a reptile, okay, and but they also have the mammary gland for feeding up of their babies and young ones. Also they have hair, so it becomes very much they falls into the group where they give eggs like a reptilians, and also they behave as a mammals because they have the mammary gland. Also lungs fish are meant to respire through gill slit, but lungs fish are very unique. They have the lungs like structure through which it do the respiration. So all these examples, all these links that I have told you tells us that there are some relation similarities between these groups, and that tells that the ancestors were all coming from the simpler one, and then it becomes to the complex. Now the next one is embryonic evidences. Okay, now see the diagram which is given on page number 7, 1.10, embryos during different stages. Now if you see, embryos are what? They are the initial stage when the babies are formed. They are the embryos when the babies are still in development form in the womb of their mother. So if comparative study of these embryonic development were done, the stages of various vertebrates, if you see given in the picture, all the embryos shows extreme similarities during initial stages. If you see the first row picture, the head, the trunk, the tail, it is all looking very similar, even though they are of different animals: fish, salamander, tortoise, chicken, pigs, cows, rabbit, and man. So the initial similarities indicates the common origin of all these organisms. So student, few evidences we have seen today. The first one was morphological evidence, where we saw the placement of the eyes, nose, and the skin and body hairs are very much similar to organism. Also I have not told you about the plants, the plant leaf venation, the petiole from which the leaf starts from the branch, that all are very similar in looking. So that is morphological. Morphological stands for anything that you see from outside. Okay, then the anatomical, the body structure. So the presence of bone, the composition of bone, the joint which is present for the use, bones are used for which purpose, all these are very relatable. So that comes under anatomical evidence. Vestigial organs, during the course of time, some organs and tissues were degenerated or become useless. So I gave you the wisdom tooth, appendix, ear muscles. These all the examples of vestigial organ. Then we saw paleontological evidence, where the fossils, study of fossil was made during the development or during the discovery of any fossil. Once it was found that below the earth, the downest part of the earth were having the invertebrates, then the vertebrates, then reptiles and amphibians, and then reptiles, and then mammals it was found. And this is all done by carbon dating method that I have told you. So it was told that initially the simpler organism came, and then the complexity increases. Then we saw connecting links, where some links were related to the animals which belongs to two different types of groups. Okay, and the last one, the sixth one, was embryological evidence, where we saw during the initial stage or the growth of the embryo of different organism, the structure looks very similar. So that indicates that the common origin of all these animals were same. There are several studies done by our great scientists, is also available in our book, and is given in on internet also, so you can refer anytime. So here also we have to study. Charles Darwin was one of the scientists who has given pioneer work in the field of evolution and natural selection. His book Origin of Species is considered as one of the most important book in terms of evolution. He has given us lots of insight around the evolution and its finding. While explaining the concept, Darwin says that all the organisms reproduce prophylactically. That means they reproduce to multiply their number. They want to have their own type of organism in the surrounding. All organisms compete with one another in a life-threatening manner. So whichever is able to adapt is will be going to survive, and they will increase their number. And those who are unable to survive, their generation will extend. They will just vanish. In this competition, only those organisms sustain which shows the modification essential for winning the competition. Okay, so it is like if you are competing in a basketball, so if you require speed, if you have a height, then the chances are there that you will win the match, right? So it was like that. But there were also demerits in Charles Darwin, as he has not spoken about the useful and useless modification that is done by that is shown by the living organism. There is no explanation about slow change and abrupt changes. So there were some problems. Now the second scientist which was read mostly was Lamarckism, and he proposed that morphological changes, the structure, the body that you see occurring in the living organism, are responsible for evolution, and the reason behind those morphological changes is activities of laziness of that organism. So if some organism wants to do some work, for example the giraffe neck, it was found that the neck of the giraffe was not that long year back, but it became too long due to browsing or eating the leaves of the tall plants by extending their neck for several generations. Now similarly, the shoulder of the ironsmith, those who beat the iron, have become very strong due to frequently hammering movement. They keep on hammering the iron that you see, they make the sheet. So because of that, the shoulder of those ironsmith become very strong. Now these were the activities. Now laziness, as the few birds are there, you must have seen ostrich and emu. They lost the tendency to fly because of that their feather becomes weak because of no use. The birds of like swan and duck have become useful for swimming due to living in water, and also snakes have lost their legs by modification in their body for burrowing habit. So these all modification were made as per their activity or the no use of certain kind of organs in their body. So these type of things, they have not got it from the parent, they have acquired, and it is also a slow process. It has all come into like how now we see it has all because they have tried, they have done in so much time, generation by generation they have tried, and hence these morphological changes had occurred. Meanwhile, let's talk about the evolution of human being, how we have evolved. So it was found that dinosaur disappeared approximately 7 crores year ago. That time the monkeys were started to live. They have this very weird kind of features and long tail and all that. So if you see there, the monkeys structure were also changed. The tails were also getting decreased because their brain and hand were more of use, and they were more modified and developed. So on they were shifting to one place to another place, so more of their modification started to arise, and hence more and more they feel like more like a human. The morphological of these human-like animals started to appear like to be member of genus like Homo, and about 20 lakhs year ago, thus skilled humans developed. About 15 lakh year ago, human walking with the erect posture, that means straight, was evolved. It may have existed in China and Indonesia of ancient continent, so it is like to be believed that it happens all there. Evolution of upright man continued in the direction of developing its brain for the period of about 1 lakh years, and meanwhile it discovered the fire. So you all know the famous story that crushing the rock and the fire was discovered. Brain of 50,000 year old man had been significantly evolved to the extent that it could be considered as a member of class wise man, that is Homo sapiens. Okay, Neanderthal man was to be considered as the first example of wise man meaning the Homo sapiens, which is very, very closely related to how human beings seems now. Okay, its name is Neanderthal man. Okay, the Cro-Magnon man evolved about 50,000 years ago, and afterward this evolution had been faster than the earlier. Around 10,000 years ago, these wise men, that is Neanderthal man, started to practice agriculture. It started to rear cattle like cows, buffaloes, goat, and establish the cities. Cultural development took place. Art writing invented about 5,000 years ago, and thus the history has been started. Now, modern science emerged about 400 years ago, and industrial society was established about 200 years ago. And at this age, we are still searching and detailing the roots of human ancestry. So this is all like a dream that you have to believe that it all happened, and we have all these things that we can rely on. Yes, our ancestor were monkey. So with this, I'll just conclude this chapter. You have finished the first chapter, Heredity and Evolution, which was very interesting to study. I hope everybody is sound and safe. So be at home and study well. Hear this 2-3 times so that you should not, if you have missed any point, you can just come back to it, and you can ask anything related to this topic. Comment down or give me a message. Thank you so much.